Hello, we're live. This is day 13 of 365 consecutive days. Take a sip of water again of lives. So, the risk of being rubbish. I'm Jenny Kovacs, as you can see down here, known as the Queen of Being Seen, because you being seen, you being visible, and you being unapologetically out there in the world is literally what gets me out of bed in the morning. So it's Sunday on day 13, and I wanted to share something, a little insight that came to me this morning, which is connected to the risk of being rubbish. One of the very many things so many people decide not to be visible, whether it's on video, whether it's from a stage when they're speaking, whether it's at work and putting their hand up and saying, I'm here, I can help, I can contribute, whether it's in a meeting and being a bit kind of reticent about putting yourself out there and suggesting something or saying something, or even just being annoyed that someone else 10 minutes ago said the same thing that you'd said previously and seems to be getting all the recognition for it. Visibility shows up in many different ways, but the underlying kind of banner of visibility is this risk that we could do something and be rubbish. So this morning, as I was making breakfast, I was thinking about this very topic, and I was reminded of something that I learned quite a long time ago, actually. Just going to rest that paper up there. I learned this quite a long time ago. Of all places, the place that I learned this was catering college. Can you believe this? So, not many people know that I'm a qualified chef, but I am. Not many people know that I went to catering college, but I did. Not many people know that I've got a love of cooking and a love of, I want to say feeding people, which makes me sound a bit sinister, but of feeding people. There's nothing I love more than having friends and people that I know and love and trust around me, and we are eating, chatting, communing, and doing great things. And you might wonder, like, what has this got to do with visibility? What has this got to do with me, Jenny? What has this got to do with the way that I show up, on a video, or the way I show up to deliver a masterclass? Or what has this got to do with me putting myself out there and raising my profile? Well, let me tell you. As I made breakfast this morning, I want to be clever and like throw this up in the air, but I thought I might not catch it. As I made breakfast this morning, I was playing with the humble tomato as part of our breakfast. Now, I love cooking. The man loves cooking, which is great. And he, a couple of years back, a few years back now, found a recipe called huevos pericos, which means parrot eggs, which is basically scrambled eggs with tomatoes and spring onions. Okay. It's a dish that I believe originates from Colombia. And it's a really nice thing for us to have for breakfast. Every now and then, we might have a bit of cheese on the side as well, because that's traditionally how it's eaten. Nice bit of toast and all of that kind of stuff. But as I was getting ready to make this, and usually, if I'm honest, the man makes it because he does a better job of it than I do. But it was, I was focused and I love cooking. I was cutting up like a couple of tomatoes to put in there. And what this reminded me from catering college, and what this also reminds me of the risk of feeling rubbish or being rubbish at doing something. And it feels like a risk when we want to put ourselves out there and we might get it wrong, or we might not do it properly, or, something else like that. I was chopping up the tomatoes into little pieces. And I remembered at catering college, I mean, anybody literally could make a sandwich. Anybody, and even if you didn't think you could be given an instruction to make a sandwich. But they're like 3 levels. So at catering college, we were taught how to make food in very many levels. And one of these such meals was the cucumber sandwich. Think of this, a cucumber sandwich, a humble cucumber sandwich. Now, if you make cucumber sandwiches for the royal family, there's a certain protocol, there's a certain way to make it. which we might decide to make at home, or you might decide to throw out the window. And the secret of making high level royal cucumber sandwiches or high end cucumber sandwiches, which might hit a nice 5 or 6 star hotel, is to remove the seeds. Why? Because it makes the sandwich soggy. So as I was chopping this tomato this morning, I decided to go royalty level. So there are a couple of things to avoid and a couple of things you can just keep in. So there's three choices, essentially, three choices. First choice is put the whole thing in, chop it up, throw the whole thing in. It doesn't ruin the dish, it doesn't make it bad, it still tastes great. Second choice is when you are cutting it up to remove the stalks. I'm going to put this near the camera. You know this bit where the thing that looks like a spider, the stalk normally comes off. I say it looks like a spider because my naughty sister used to think it was funny to put it on my pillow and make me think for a few seconds as a child it was a spider, but I digress. So I cut it up, and the first thing I did, I quartered it first of all, and I removed this stalky bit. Why? Because when you're eating your scrambled eggs with your tomatoes and stuff that are cooked and added in, you kind of don't really want to crunch down on something that shouldn't be there. So I just thought, let's cut that out, let's take it out, remove the stalk. So that's level one. Level two was then to remove the seeds. So before I chopped it up, I removed all the seeds so that the only thing that was going in the dish was pure tomato. Now, this is something that might seem invisible to a lot of people. And of course, the third option is just to chop the thing up and just throw it all in and just be done with it. Seeds, stalk, whatever else, and just take it out of your mouth if you don't like it and all of that kind of stuff. But I had these choices. And it reminded me of the risk of being rubbish because yesterday I attended a really great speaker experience with a man called Andrew Eggleton. And I will tag him when this goes out. So this should be on my YouTube channel. It should be on my LinkedIn page. So I'll tag him in as well. And also my Facebook page, The Queen of Being Seen. I'll tag Andrew in there as well. So why, as somebody who's been speaking officially for this business anyway for 14 years, and a few decades before that in my roles, in training and development, learning and development, senior management, I was presenting back then. Why would somebody who already does this a lot go to an event where you get to deepen your knowledge for speaking? And I often say that you can go broader and wider on a topic, or you can go deeper in a topic. So yesterday, I consciously chose to join that event to go deeper into the topic. And I love in-person kind of events. And I got to share space with some people that I recognised and kind of knew from online, some people that I knew and had met before, some people that I didn't know from Adam, you know? So, although it was Andrew's course, not Adam's course. So it was a really great way to deepen this knowledge. But why? Why would somebody else do this? And I think the short answer is this. Because at the end of the day, there's a risk, always a risk of being rubbish. Always a risk of being rubbish at something. So it doesn't matter how many times I or someone else can stand on a stage to speak, there's always a risk that this could be the talk that bombs. It doesn't matter how many people you've spoken to, there's always a risk that somebody will listen and not love it, maybe not even like it. It doesn't matter how many prestigious places you've spoken to, how many big stages you've spoken to, there's always a risk that the next time it just might not land. Always, for all of us, regardless of who we are, whether you're Oprah, or whether you are a person just striving to let people know about what you do in the world, to make a difference in the world, to be great, and to share things with other people. There's always a risk, always. So I guess what I wanted to say in today's message for day 13, which wasn't intended, you know, because I know that some people think 13 is an unlucky number. And for many women, traditionally, it actually isn't. But what I wanted to share in this live today is that we all have the same risks of being rubbish, but some of us go ahead anyway. We all have the same risks of being rubbish, but some of us decide to kind of push through any fears, any trepidation, any hesitation, any procrastination. We all have the same risks of being rubbish, but it's what we do to work on that, to deepen that, that makes a difference. And the reason why I decided to do this day with Andrew is because I do want to help other people make a difference. I do want to hone my craft. Even though I've been doing it for decades, I want to hone it even more. There's always room for improvement. There's always stuff to learn. And boy, did we learn a lot of really cool stuff. So look at some of the things that you do and that you do really well and that you could do even better. Look at some of the stuff that maybe you don't do so well and you've been putting it off for weeks, for months, sometimes even for years, and saying, oh, I'll do it one day, I'll do it later, I'll do it someday. Look at the things that you could really use at making a difference in your life, where you take yourself out of the game and say, oh, yeah, I'm not going to spend money on that. Or the worst one that I heard somebody saying to somebody else about someone else's thing, oh, I'm not going to waste my money on that. Because think about this, the risk of us being rubbish, there's, from a visibility perspective, there's a kind of a balancing point. Andrew had a phrase yesterday that he used. I won't do a spoiler alert of his work, but there was a phrase that he used yesterday, which I agree with. If we go out there and we are rubbish, all we can really do is learn from it. He didn't say that. He said it far more eloquently. But there's, you know, if we put ourselves out in the world, and we will always risk being rubbish. Somebody will always perceive us to be rubbish. But from a visibility perspective, if we let that get in the way, we will never put ourselves out there. We'll never raise our profile. We'll never tell people about what we do. We'll never fully own it, like completely own it and embody it. And the reason I do this work actually isn't because of me, but because of you, because I know your voice matters. Every single day, it can be in random places. I hear incredible stories of incredible people doing incredible things. But the one thing that stops them from helping others is this fear of being visible, visible. So even though it feels like a risk, even though it might feel like you're going to be rubbish at something, even though, and this is the biggest risk to people who feel like they're being rubbish, when you're really great at something, when you're really known for something, and there is a risk that the thing that you're great at, the thing that you're known for, could go wrong, could flop. That's the biggest risk. So these aren't, you know, people, and you aren't people who are shy, retiring, and scared of making a difference. You are someone that knows how important it is to make a difference, in the same way that I do when I encapsulate it in this sentence with my tomato in hand. And it's simply this: your voice matters. Your voice matters. You matter. The people that you serve matter. But they need to know that you're there for them. They need to know what you can do with them and for them. They need to know that you're there. Get out there, be seen, be heard, and be unapologetically visible. Day 13 done. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.